Did you know you wanted to be a sports trainer?
Okay, well, I'm an athletic trainer, not a sports trainer. Two different things. But, oh gosh. I started working for my athletic trainer in high school. So I was his intern for my last 2 years of high school, and I just really loved it. I really loved being around. I'm not the most athletically gifted person, but I love sports, so it was a way for me to be around sports and feel involved. Both my parents are doctors, so they always assumed I was going to be a doctor, and then I just found this kind of alternate medicine path that just made more sense for me and my personality, and I just kept going.
What challenges did you overcome in your life?
Like in my life, or specific to becoming an athletic trainer?
Just in general, like.
Um, um, complicated question. So I was a professional horseback rider for a while. I left and lived with my trainer when I was 13.
Oh wow.
So I lived full time with her in her farm in Massachusetts. And she was an interesting person with a lot of problems. So just being like that young and being around someone who had issues that like I wasn't old and mature enough to understand like weren't about me. I think what took a little time for me to figure that out. And also like it's just a different relationship with criticism when you're like that young with a person who's somewhat verbally abusive. So that I think was a big kind of forming experience for me as far as like obstacles go. And then my dad got sick when I was in college, so that was kind of like the life crisis moment where you're like trying to figure out like what am I doing? It's
Yeah, like, what are you gonna do?
Right, exactly. So I think there's a couple different things. That were like formative for me. Those are probably the two biggest that kind of changed my personality and my life trajectory.
Okay. Who helped you along the way to your career? Like.
The two biggest people that come to mind are my high school athletic trainer is a man named David Mills. So he's actually the first African American president of the North Carolina Athletic Training Association. So he was like a really big deal, but I didn't know that when I worked for him. I just thought he was like a cool guy, and then as I got older, I was like, oh,
You're serious.
you're kind of like the real deal. But he was just so supportive. He actually, I do not think I would have gotten into Carolina's program if he hadn't written my recommendation for me. And that changed my entire life. So he was really important to me. And then my head athletic trainer for UNC lacrosse while I was at UNC was a woman named Nina Walker, who is also just like an incredible human being. She's overcome so much in her life. So just being around her at times where I was dealing with things that I just did not, like my dad and everything, just did not know how to process. Being in like, not with her, not only just like professionally, she's an amazing athletic trainer, but also just personally, she's dealt with a lot of similar problems, and she was just always by my side and always supportive. So that was really helpful to me, but it also taught me a lot about the kind of athletic trainer I want to be to you guys. So.
Okay. And this is a two-part question. What other careers were you interested in?
So I always thought I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. Like when I came out of the womb, my mom was like, she's going to be a doctor. And that was the only life option that was acceptable to my parents for a really long time. So when I told them, my college major was originally biology. I was going to apply to medical school because my parents told me I was going to do. So when I told them I wasn't going to do that and that I was going to transfer into a different program, they were not happy at all. That was really the only. That and like just quitting school and becoming a professional horseback rider, which is obviously a crazy thing to do, were really the only two things that I ever considered. Neither one of them really made sense for me.
So you quit school like completely?
No, God no, I didn't. But I really considered it for a long time. I was on the junior Olympic team, and there was a point where my trainer was like, you either do this full time and drop out of school and like pursue an Olympic dream, or you are like, this is as far as you're ever going to get. So it was like I had to choose my career as an athletic trainer. I had to choose like pursuing this athletic dream that was like just, I mean, it's like a fool's dream. But it was kind of, I was at that crossroads where I was like, I'm either gonna do this 100% or I'm gonna do this 100%, but I can no longer do both.
So then what made you choose the athletic training?
I thought about what I couldn't give up, like what I could just not see my life not including. And I loved the work I was doing with the UNC athletes, so like I got up in the morning excited to go work with my athletes. More so, like I love my horses, but it was more so like I was more excited to go to work than I was to like go to the barn, which I think that's really all you need to know is like if you get up in the morning and your thought is like, oh, I get to go rehab this knee today, like I'm so excited, like that's what you should be doing.
Yeah. Okay. What advice do you have for me about my career? Because I want to kind of pursue the same career that you did. So what advice would you give me in my career path?
I think it's really just about figuring out your personality and figuring out what's best for you. So I have friends that have the same degree as me, but their personality is just not what's suited to this career, and they've kind of played with it. And it's not that there are always options and paths that you can take that work the best for you. There's not always like one path, and it's not like you have to commit to this is what other people have done, this is what I have to do. It's finding what is right for you, and a lot of the times that takes a lot of trial and error. So I think being comfortable with trying things and being like, oh, you know what, that's not for me, let me try this now, and not getting discouraged by that process, because it can take a while, but eventually you're going to end up and be like, I know what I want, this is how I'm going to do it.
Okay, and do you feel that me going into a training and conditioning coach is a good job for me, or do you feel like I should steer another way in physical training?
I think it's hard to answer that because you haven't really had any experience in it yet, So, I mean, I've had strength and conditioning coaches that I absolutely love, and then I've had some that I never want to see again that I've worked with. So it's really hard to answer that until you get into it and you start working within that. It's not even just taking like the classes, but actually getting like hands-on experience and working with athletes and seeing what your life would actually look like every day. Until you do that, it's hard to say whether it's like that's the answer or whether maybe it's something adjacent to that or building off of that. You just kind of got to play with it, but it's not like there's a black or white answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.